Part 2, the coming economic dystopia. The Greek crisis shows how far the European idea has shifted from 1957, when the six-member European Economic Community, called EEC for short, was formed. At US prodding, Britain and Scandinavia created a rival seven-member European Free Trade Association called EFTA. You remember NAFTA here. Even so, the promise of Euroland, at least before the Maastricht Treaty and the Lisbon Treaty, was to elevate labor to middle-class prosperity, not to impose IMF-type austerity programs of the sort that has devastated the Third World. The message to indebted economies is stark: drop dead. And they are obediently committing economic suicide to endorse the Washington Consensus, the class war of finance against labor and industry. Political, social, fiscal, and economic power is being transferred to the EU bureaucracy, its financial controllers in the European Central Bank. You see, they have the same problem as we do. And the IMF, whose austerity plans and related anti-labor programs direct governments to sell off the public domain, like utility companies and such, phone companies, land and subsoil wealth, in other words, oil, gas, what have you, public enterprises, and to commit future tax revenues to pay off creditor nations. This policy has already been imposed in the new Europe, namely the former Soviet economies and Iceland, since autumn of 2008. And now it is to be imposed on Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Greece, and Spain. No wonder there are riots. In truly Orwellian fashion, right-wingers in Europe and in the US, such as Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke, call this the hallmark of democracy. It actually is the stamp of oligarchy, stripping away control over the economy's credit allocation and hence forward planning, while giving high finance a stranglehold over public spending programs anywhere. Iceland, Latvia, and now Greece are the opening shots in the resulting global campaign to roll back the great democratic reform programs of the 19th century. Taxation of land and unearned increment of price gains for real estate, stocks and bonds, and subordination of the financial sector to the needs of economic growth under democratic direction. This doctrine was still being followed by the post-1945 era progressive taxation that saw the 20th century's greatest rise in living standards and economic growth. But most countries have reversed this fiscal trade since the 1980s. Tax collectors have freed income from public obligation, only to see it pledged to banks for higher loans to bid up property prices. On to part 3.